Alright everybody, this video is going to be about the current state of all variants of F-14 in the matchmaking. But since there's a new major update on the horizon, I'm gonna address that shortly before we get to the F-14 subject. There will be chapters on the video, so by all means, if you're tired of hearing about it, you can easily skip to the parts that you like. Starting with the elephant in the room, F-117 Nighthawk is being added to the game as an 8.7 squadron vehicle. Now I'm glad that Gaijin is actually taking the steps to test their stealth mechanics beforehand and then releasing the potential modern stealth fighters, but unless Gaijin has a whole legion of testers, which I doubt they do, releasing this plane at 8.7 with no countermeasures, no missiles, and most importantly zero good radars to go against just doesn't make any sense. If you want to release this plane and actually benefit from user data around the engagements of this plane, it would be just better to ditch all the realism and give it at least a few IR missiles to defend itself and bump the battle rating. Right now the best radar and radar missile that will go against F-117 in an up tier would be MiG-21S and R3R. French ground tier is getting 3 new vehicles, Leopard 2A4, 2A5 and 2A6. What can I say, I feel really sad for German mains, that all their good tanks are being treated like Shermans. There are now at least 7 different depictions of Leopard 2A4 across different nations, and that is without other prototypes or vehicles that were directly inspired by 2A4 design. I doubt anybody is against balancing each nation, whether it is by reload time or other attributes, but dude, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth every time I'm going against Leopards while being in a Leopard tank. Each nation should have its own spirit, and this is the easiest way to wash down that definition. Rest of the update is looking good. There are new visual improvements and bug fixes, and each nation is getting some useful stuff. F-15A Strike Eagle and Sukhoi 34 are being added to the game as well, which shouldn't really change the CAS options that much, but regardless they are both really good launching platforms. F-15E is currently busted in ARB, and Sukhoi 34 will be a better platform to launch AGMs from in ground RB. Apart from these changes, everything else is just cool to have. Okay, let's talk about the Tomcats, shall we? Most of you still remember when Tomcats were added to the game with the Danger Zone update 2 years ago. The release of F-14 introduced the first actually long-range Fox 3 missile of the game as well, AIM-54A Phoenix. F-14 wasn't just another top-tier plane, it was a new revolution of Warthunder gameplay. It forced players to stay low, it made everyone hypersensitive to the RWR noises. It was a cool sight to behold, a force to be reckoned with. It didn't matter if you're a Russian main or a German main or American, everybody just knew this plane is the king of the skies. Even the MiG-23 spammers would agree that this plane could be a lot more dangerous in real life compared to its Warthunder depiction. Fast forward to the present time, now we have 2 more variants of Tomcat in the game, the Iranian Air Force version and F-14B. It's still a feared opponent, but not so much, and it's feared for the wrong reasons. Since the last month's battle rating changes, both versions of F-14A are now at 12.7, and F-14B is now at 13.0. Now why do I believe that Tomcats are butchered by Gaijin? First of all, you need to understand this. 12.7 right now is mostly up tiers to 13.7. Both variants of F-14A are absolutely awful against every single one of these planes. They have better radars, better medium-range Fox 3s, much better IRCCM-capable Fox 2s. Their radar missiles will track better from better angles and are much more difficult to dodge. Now when it gets to the Iranian variant of F-14A, the only reason it can be viable in this PR is its wonder weapon, Fakur 90. It is a great improvement over the basic Phoenix. It probably can't track as well as 54C, but still the range of it alone carries the plane really well. Apart from the Fakur 90, it's not a good plane for this PR. You will get only 60 countermeasures with a large heat signature. The Iranian variant does have some good options like R27R1, but the problem is not really the missiles, it's the radar. F-14A simply can't keep the track of targets as effectively as its opponents. Sometimes your missile just doesn't track well. It's having much more problem tracking from behind on pulse Doppler mode. And good luck trying to dodge IRCCM missiles with 60 flare pops. For the past few days I've been spamming these planes non-stop. Every time the match starts with air response, Fakur 90 can do its job. But if the starting point is the airfields, you are cooked, unless you get creative. Take less fuel, take off with landing flaps, immediately start sweeping your wings and rush for 6 km altitude. And even then you're mostly facing against other Fakur 90s. So we can't really complain, right? Iranian F-14 has a gambling chance in the beginning of the match, and if it fails, well, it won't be that useful for your team. But hey, it's an event vehicle with a wonder weapon, and we already know it's really hard to balance. Now let's talk about the F-14B. In case of this variant, unlike the F-14A, you have enough engine thrust to get to the engagement altitude, and the phoenixes of this plane are the 54C variant. So the missile is going to self-guiding pitbull mode from much further distances compared to 54A or potentially Fakur 90. F-14B is much better in close engagements and dogfights. The better engines help 14B a lot to be able to go head to head with its more modern opponents. And the additional countermeasures you can pick can vary from an extra 320 to a whopping number of 640, depending on the armament you want to pick. So in my opinion, F-14B is not the best plane, but is still relatively in a good spot. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I said all that just to point out this, that some genius up in Gaijin decided that F-14A of the tech tree is somehow good enough for 12.7. A plane that is too slow to use its own specialized weapons effectively, is not fit enough to go against its opponents in any shape or form, and is ironically iconic enough for the average player to want to unlock. Right now you are probably thinking that why is this dude so obsessed with F-14A? Just play other planes, right? But dude, I put myself in the shoes of an average player that doesn't buy premiums. Imagine you grind your soul away to reach this point to finally be able to get your hands on this plane. Only to realize that, sorry mate, Gaijin has this habit of nerfing and buffing different vehicles on a rotation. Have you played League of Legends or Dota 2? Yes, exactly the same. Gaijin just wants to keep things fresh, you know? So from time to time they swap the praise and predators of each BR to keep things interesting. And honestly, I do understand this. There is no way for Gaijin to keep all these vehicles actually balanced all the time. So a few min-maxing and changing how matchmaking favors some vehicles could keep things rolling. Exactly the case for MiG-21MF and SMT. A minor update comes out, most of your matches are down tiers. Another minor update comes out, now suddenly you're locked in with up tiers. But bro, F-14 is not that vehicle. This BR is not that BR. Read the fucking room, Gaijin. I just hope someone from Gaijin finds this video and actually reduces the battle rating of this plane. My suggestion is minimum 12 and maximum 12.3. Now all the MiG-23M LS spammers are gonna be mad in the comments. But seriously, get a grip. It is historically accurate to go against F-14A in a MiG-23, and if you're having a problem with evading Phoenixes, I don't know, go watch a YouTube guide or something.
Get the fuck out of here.
Thanks for watching, and be seeing ya.